Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. Today I have a review for you for Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2 by Christopher Ruocchio. This is available only in ebook format, so if you want to read this short story collection, you will have to have a device that you can use to read ebooks, which whatever you're watching that on, you can probably read an ebook on it. It's got Valka on the cover, and it actually has the first story from her point of view, which is pretty cool. But let's go through and talk about this book. So I'm going to give you a no spoiler review. I'm going to give you a kind of short pitch for each one of the short stories, and then at the end I'll give you kind of a wrap up on my thoughts and how I felt about the book. Well, do you say book when it's a short story collection? We're going to continue to say it. So this, as I said, is a non-spoiler, and I don't think either this will spoil the previous Sun Eater book, so you could watch this video if you've read nothing of Sun Eater, although I would recommend reading Sun Eater. I think it's really good. It's really interesting, thought-provoking sci-fi, and in the latest one that I've read, which was before this, was Demon in White, Ruocchio really dialed up and really nailed in the action as well and the character drama. So yeah, great series. But let's talk about these short stories. So short story number 1 is called The Dragon Slayers, and this follows a group of Imperial soldiers, kind of men on the ground in the infantry, as they are protecting the young girl who has, by the fact that all of her family has been killed by invading aliens, she has become the ruler of this small planet, but while the planet is, basically done for, it's been attacked by these aliens, this small troop of Imperial soldiers is basically tasked with getting her out. And you start with them in media res, where basically there's a group of soldiers and they are working their way through a destroyed city to try and get a signal to call for evac, basically, from the planet. So I don't know why, but this story didn't really vibe with me. I felt like maybe something a bit more connected to the main plot would have been a better way to start this book. So one of the things that I like about the short story collections is they're not all short stories about Hadrian. However, the thing that I felt maybe could have improved this was if it was a short story which had Hadrian in but was not from his point of view. So we've seen that in the story about the Knight Captain in the previous anthology, which I thought was really good. Getting to see people outside of Hadrian's opinion of Hadrian is something that I find really interesting, because it's obviously a first person book, so you don't get to actually really see other people's thoughts. But yeah, the Knight Captain was a really fantastic story, because it did show us that. It showed us that in turn, that what people think of Hadrian. And I feel like having this story have been from the point of view of a random soldier who Hadrian conscripts to come with him to rescue this girl would have been really interesting. In the end, this one was just Ruocchio writes military action, and that's fine, but it's not 100% what I come to Sun Eater for. Next up was a story that I really liked called Fire in the Sky. This is from the point of view of a 16-year-old girl whose village has been attacked by the Cielcin. She and her brother are on the run basically through this village. It's quite short, and it's basically about how they're trying to escape the village with their lives when the Cielcin are out and about burning houses down and killing people. That one was a good one. I would, if you're going to go, I'm just going to read a couple from this collection. Fire in the Sky is definitely one of the ones I would recommend, and so is the third short story, which is called Kill the King. So Kill the King is a story about an Imperial spy who is going undercover to kill a non-Imperial warlord, essentially, who's ruling over a small planet. I hope that this character, this warlord character, and maybe even this spy pop up again, because the idea of spies and intelligence operatives in the Sunny Tour world is really interesting because of the speed of information flow. So you could be the Emperor could be right, I want this warlord killed, and actually that warlord is they are 80 light years away, which means it'll take you 30 years to get there, and you don't know when you arrive whether the political situation will have completely changed. So a really interesting idea. I would love to see it incorporated more into the main Sunny Tour books. Could Hadrian have spies that work for him? Could Hadrian be a spy? Lots of interesting stuff. I'd really like to see that happening. Next short story was called Knowledge. This one I thought was the least interesting. So Ruocchio wrote this to be read live. That was the intention behind this short story. So it takes 10 minutes to read aloud. So this one is this one's really interesting. No, that's a lie. It's not really interesting. I didn't really get on with it at all. It was from Hadrian's point of view. I couldn't really tell you anything that happened in it except that Hadrian steps on a fig. Didn't stick with me. Wouldn't go out of my way to read it again. Next up was Good Intentions. Now, Good Intentions is the first time we've had Valka's POV. Valka, obviously a very important character in the series, and this is kind of a flashback to before she met Hadrian. Now, Good Intentions, I have to say, I also didn't love. It felt like, I don't know whether it's Ruocchio's attempt to kind of give a bit more humanity to Valka instead of the kind of pedestal placing that Hadrian does for her, because obviously Hadrian is head over heels with her, and he's put her on this pedestal, but does she deserve to be there? Is she fallible? Does she make mistakes? These sorts of things. And I don't know why, but I felt like some of the story I vibed with, and then some of it I was like, I don't know, I'm not into this. But worth reading, I think. Although I don't know whether the context of it is kind of taken into account when you look at Valka's actions in other stories in the series. The final short story was one of the longest ones, and it was called The Four Devils. This is essentially a sequel to The Lesser Devil. So in The Lesser Devil it's a novella, you follow Crispin and new Marlowe sister Sabine as they go. They are basically shot down in their shuttle, and they land in a Catholic, I can't think of the right term, reservation basically for Catholics on Delos, and the Catholics join together with Crispin and Sabine and their troops to try and defend their small town against some extrasolarians, which is a really cool idea. Loved that short story, that novella, not short story. And this is essentially a sequel. This is basically Crispin gets back after the Lesser Devil, and his father is like, BT dubs, we found out that Hadrian is alive. So this is set during the events of Empire of Silence. And yeah, really enjoyed this short story, really enjoyed the interactions, not just between Crispin and his father, but Crispin and Sabine, and Crispin and their mother, Liliana. Fantastic short story. I think that this was skirting a low 3 stars before the short story, probably because 2 in a row I thought were a bit middling. But in the end, this was a really solid,
Really enjoyed three-star short story collection, with the Four Devils probably kind of the crowning jewel of the collection. Yeah, great short story. And I would almost say, if you love Lesser Devil like me, just read that short story. You can kind of ignore the others. I reserve the right to take that back if I read more Sun Eater books and the short stories here become more relevant. Kill the King, I think, is probably one of the most entertaining ones. Fire in the Sky was really good to get that kind of like normal person view of a Sealson attack. So yeah, definitely would recommend you guys to read the short story collection. It's apparently required reading for Sun Eater because Christopher Ruocchio puts it in his Sun Eater book order and says you have to read this before what's the next one? Kingdoms of Death. Lovely positive title there. And I do have Kingdoms of Death. I own the book. It's ready to read. So for now, I will put a pause on Sun Eater so that I can catch up on some other books. But I will be going straight back in with Kingdoms of Death probably in August now, if I can get to it in August. Anyway, if you have read this book, why don't you drop down into the comments and chat to me about your favourite short story, or if you've got any other short story collections, especially sci-fi ones, that you think that I'd really like, then please do recommend them. You don't need to recommend Hyperion. Everyone's told me to read Hyperion. And if you would like to, again, talk about this book, then please do chat with me in the comments down below. Please also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, drop a subscription. It'd be fantastic to have you part of the community here. I think we're really building something. We're really building a really fun community, and I'd love to have more people on board. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and I will speak to you tomorrow.